So we created our journey pendant in the last part of the lesson. Now we'll be taking a look at our history of the pendant, some of the features within our history that we can make use of. Okay, so within our history manager we have right-click options similar to those that we have within other areas of the program. Okay, and again these right-click options are context sensitive. So we have a different option, right-click option panel, depending on the operation we right-click on, or if we right-click in vacant space. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the tools available in our right-click option when we right-click on an operation. Okay, we won't cover all of these, just those that are most useful. Okay, so first of all we have our redefine. Okay, we know what this does. It allows us to redefine that operation. We have a rollback. This will roll back our history to the previous operation. Okay, so we click on this to play up to that operation, like so. Okay, we can right click. We also have a rename. We can rename the operation within the history manager. Okay, so at the moment we have pretty generic names. We can add custom names to make this history have more sense to us if we come back to it at a later stage. Okay, so we could call this the skeleton sketch. Confirm. Okay, and that will make a bit more sense to us now. If we right click again, we have our dimension. This will show or hide the dimension for that particular feature. Okay, not all features will have dimensions that we can view, but in this case the skeleton has these dimensions. Okay, we can blank it out, unblank. Okay, when something is blanked out it will appear in grey. Okay, as will all of the unplayed operations in the history. Okay, so everything after the model stop will be unplayed, unexecuted, and everything before the model stop are our executed commands. Okay, so also in the right click option panel we can suppress. We know what the suppress does. We can cut, copy, paste, delete our operations. Okay, so we can move our operations within the history from place to place. We can copy them. Okay, this can be useful. It allows us to move operations prior to one another or after one another without having to re-perform those operations. Okay, there's just a few more I'll show you. Open close, we know what this does. It opens up an operation so we can see the parameters within that operation. And we have our entity info. Okay, this gives us the information about that operation. Okay, also within our right click options we have a layer on and off. This will hide the layer that that operation is associated with. Okay, so in this case that offset is associated with this layer. Okay, you can see it's been hidden. Activate it again, like so. Okay, we also have a zoom to. This will zoom to that particular feature. Okay, so these are just a few of the more useful commands available to us in this right click options in the history manager. If we right click in a vacant area of the history manager we get a different right click options show themselves. Okay, we have redefine last. This will redefine the last operation. We know what this does. Regeneration. This will regenerate the history, same as this icon up here. Okay, we have suppression commands. A useful one, history folder. We can create our own folders within the history. To do this we left click on the operation. Now we pick the entities, the operations that we want to be within this folder. To do this I like to do a shift pick the top operation, hold down the shift key, pick the amount of operations I want within this folder. Let's say I'll come down to prior to my gemstones. Then we middle click. Okay, so we have a folder that contains these operations. So that's for organization purposes, we can right click, rename. Let's call this pendant shape. Okay. We then create a new history folder. Middle click, rename, let's say components. Okay, so this is just an example of how we can use our folders. Okay, the final tool that I will show you within our history manager is our show frozen bar. Okay, this is the frozen bar here, which we can hide and show from this option. Now the frozen bar can be very useful when we have a larger history. Okay, so you can see at the moment regenerating our history takes quite a long time because we have our gemstones, our prongs, our cutters within here, we're merging them. Okay, and it can take some time. Okay, so we can use our frozen feature to freeze parts of the history and lock them in place. So we do this by dragging down our feature frozen to the point that we want it to be. Okay, in the same way as we drag our model stop, we can drag the feature frozen. Okay, and this is going to lock in all of these operations prior to the feature frozen bar. So when we regenerate our history, it's going to be very quick because we're just regenerating this one item here. The rest are locked in, they're pre-executed. Okay, so let's drag our model stop back up again so we can play around with our history a bit more. To finish off this pendant, I want to add in a stone up here with a bezel. Okay, first of all, I'm going to offset this face to extend our material here a bit. So from a face offset, this face, let's offset it, let's say 0.5 millimeters, confirm. Okay, so we've extended the face here. But now I want this fillet to also run along here. Okay, I don't want the fillet to end like this. So to do this, I can move this offset, or perform this offset prior to the fillet. We could have simply gone back in our history, performed the offset prior to the fillet, but this gives us an opportunity to showcase our cut and paste tools. We can cut the offset from the history. Okay, this is where our feature frozen comes in handy. And then we can paste it. Paste. After fillet. No, I don't want it after fillet. I want it to be after. Let's unpick this. We go back into the history manager after the merge prongs. Confirm the operation. Okay, there's our offset, has been thrown in after the merge. And let's see if it updates accordingly with our fillet. Okay, and there you go. You see we have our fillet included in there. We have cut and pasted that operation. Maybe I think that this is a bit too much. I might want to drop this down a bit. First of all, I'm going to drag my feature frozen down again so that we don't have to keep replaying all of this history. Okay, I'm going to open up the offset. Let's change the offset, edit, let's say 0.3. Okay, regenerate. There we go, reduced it, and it was a quick regeneration. Okay, now we want to place our gemstone and bezel at the end here. We're going to place, I think, about 2.5mm gemstone, 2.5mm diameter round, which means I want to place it on a datum which is coming off from here about 1.25mm, so half of 2.5. So I need a datum to place my stone on. So I'm going to insert datum. Again, I can do this with precision. The geometry, I'm going to pick it along this edge edge, and I want it to be in the middle. I want it to snap to the middle. So I could use my inputting options along. I could go along 50%, or simply critical. Let's snap to the midpoint, like so. Okay, now I can use my offset to offset this datum to where I need it. Okay, but currently the offset is throwing it in the wrong direction. I can change the alignment of my frame. I'm going to align it this way, the YZ alignment, so the offset is going in the correct direction. I want my offset to be negative 1.25. Okay, so I've got the right position there, but now I need this to be flat. I don't want it to be in this orientation, so I'm going to rotate the datum about the y-axis 90 degrees, 1/4 of a turn, so that we have a top orientation like this. Take away the rectangle. Okay, and this datum is now ready for placing a gemstone on. Okay, so we've placed that datum plane with accuracy. Save our work. Okay, we come into our gem settings, place stone, round diamond, dimension it 2.5. Okay, that's 0.06 of a carat, a 6-pointer stone. Place it here. Okay, maybe I want it to be a bit less. Let's say a 2.4 stone. Select. Okay, that's the 2.5. Let's give it an elevation. Just pop it up a little bit. 0.2. Confirm the operation. There's our gemstone. Okay, now we need to place a bezel on this gemstone. Bezel. We want a round bezel. Gem length 2.4. Preview. We'll place it on the same datum plane as our gemstone. Okay, we're changing between our wireframe display modes here. Okay, you can see this is obviously far too long. And our seat, our gemstone is not set on our seat. So first of all, let's bring our bezel origin to 0.2. So that should have been a positive there. Positive 0.2, we're bringing our bezel up. Okay, so our gemstone is now sat on the bezel. Let's just drop it down a little bit so we don't have incident material. Okay, now we need to decrease our bezel length below girdle. Let's bring this up. Start off with a 2. Okay, I want this to be flush with here, but I can do this later with the trim, so I'll leave it at that. I want to bring down this height above the girdle to 0.2. I don't think I want to have an angle here. Let's change our bezel angle to 90 degrees. Okay, we'll decrease our top width, let's just say 0.4. Okay, this will do. I'm happy with this for now. Confirm the operation. Okay, there's our bezel. I don't want to tweak. Okay, I'm going to merge this now as a base. Okay, we've turned it into a shape there. Let's trim out the bottom here. Okay, to trim to this face, I'm going to simply insert datum, send my entity filter onto face, the geometry, just let it snap to that face, 0 offset. Okay, so we have a trimming plane there. Confirm. Trim this base. Trimming this datum plane. Flip the side to keep. Confirm. Let's erase this datum plane now. Okay, so we've trimmed it nicely there. Okay, I'm going to add a chamfer in here and a fillet on the edge. We're not going to be producing this piece, but if we were, we'd want to leave some extra material so that we can set the stone. But I'm going to chamfer in here. Regular chamfer, not asymmetric. Let's just say 0.2. Or 0.15. Confirm the operation. Add a fillet. Or add a fillet on the bottom as well. Okay, we've got a hole here. If you wanted to close the space up, okay, you can simply do an extrude. Extrude this edge. Extrude it up a bit. Let's say one-sided extrude. Thickness of negative 0.3. Okay, we can do a boolean add to this shape. Confirm the operation. There, you've closed up the bottom there. Okay, so that's this about completed now. Finally, I might perform a combine add of the bezel and our shape. Save our work. Okay, we'll erase that datum. Okay, if we wanted to make changes, if we weren't happy with the shape here, bring our feature frozen up again. Bring our model stop up. Okay, you can change the shape a bit. Okay, I think the start angle, I want to drop it down. The upper offset. Okay, I'm just softening it up a bit. Okay, then I can step through history and see how it plays through. Okay, we seem to be missing a gem up here. Let's undo that, redefine it. Okay, we'll take off our spread there. Confirm. Play the prongs. Let's just try and replay the whole thing and see how it goes. Okay, so that looks as though it's worked out quite nicely. Okay, so we've got our changes in there. Change our shape color. Let's drag our feature frozen down. Okay, now we can see what this looks like in a live render. Now in previous lessons we've been visualizing our designs with the free live renderer, which does a pretty good job and it's also very fast. Now you can purchase an upgrade to JCD Lite. Okay, you can upgrade the renderer to Thea. Okay, so if you purchase the Thea upgrade, you get the Thea software package, but you'll also get a patch for JCD Lite so that you can have the Thea live render. Okay, this is the Thea live render, and you have export Thea scene. Okay, so the Thea live render puts out a pretty nice quick render of the design. Okay, so let's check it out. It works in the same way as with the free renderer. Just left click, click and play. And there you have a render of the work. Okay, it may take a bit of time to get a very clear render. Remember, you can minimize the screen to increase the speed of your render. Okay, we can also add in the live rendering studio like before. Okay, remember you can play around with the face attributes, the rendering studio colors to improve the renderer. Okay, I'll let this run through at the end of this part of the video to get a nice render, but first of all I want to show you our export Thea scene. So let's undo the render studio. If we left click on the export Thea scene, we are prompted to pick the studio. Okay, so let's pick the photo booth studio. This is like the rendering studio we had before. Open. We'll then be prompted to name our part. Select a folder to save it in. I'm just going to continue with the defaults. Again, then it will open up our part, our design within the Thea Render Studio. Okay, so this is a separate software package. Okay, but it will put out a very nice, realistic render of your designs. This program is really robust and has a lot of complex things that we're able to do. Okay, we can play a render like so. It may take some time, depending on your options. It could take a couple of hours to get your rendering done, depending on the complexity of your design. So it's a long time to render, but it is worth the wait because you can get some incredible renders out of this. Okay, so I'm going to let this one run in the background. Minimize, come back to our software, let's add in that rendering studio again. And we'll perform our live render. Okay, so this is the Thea add-on for Jewelry Cad Dreamlight. You do have to purchase it, but it can give you some really nice images of your designs.